Did you know that a simple 1980 USA $quarter coin, the kind that many people might overlook in their pocket change or toss into a jar without a second thought, has been rumored to carry a face value of a staggering $39 million in history because of its unique errors, mistakes, and the fascinating circumstances that surround it, making it one of the most intriguing pieces in the world of coin collecting, a realm where rarity, history, and condition combine to create treasures that could change someone's financial future forever. And as we dive deeper into the story of the 1980 $quarter, you'll see how a coin minted in the bustling Denver Mint during a year of economic shifts and cultural changes could emerge as a symbol of rarity and immense value. Because while millions of 1980 quarters were struck and released into circulation, only a tiny handful of them contained minting anomalies so rare and significant that they elevated these coins from everyday currency into historical artifacts worth millions, with collectors and numismatists fascinated by the variety of errors ranging from double strikes, off-center impressions, misaligned dies, broad strikes, planchet flaws, and even extremely sharp die cracks that give the coin an appearance unlike any other quarter of its kind. And these rare mistakes mean that while one 1980 quarter might be worth only 25 cents, another, bearing the right combination of errors, pristine condition, and historical mystery, could be worth millions, fueling legends about how a single quarter could have a face value of $39 million. And when we look at the broader picture of American coinage, it becomes clear that this value isn't just about the metal content or the age of the coin, but about scarcity and desirability. Because collectors have long understood that a coin's value skyrockets when it carries something unique that sets it apart from the rest. And in the case of the 1980 quarter, those unique markers could include double die obverse where the inscriptions like Liberty or In God We Trust appear shadowed and doubled, giving the coin an instantly recognizable rarity, or mint mark anomalies where the D appears misplaced, faint, or even overpunched in ways that tell the story of human error at the mint during a time when quality control could not catch every minor imperfection. And then there are the coins struck on the wrong planchets, such as quarters minted on nickel or penny blanks, which result in undersized, lightweight coins that slip through the cracks of the minting process only to become treasured collectibles later. And when these kinds of errors meet historical context, like the year 1980 when inflation, rising silver and gold prices, and changing monetary policy affected how people viewed money, they create an aura of mystique that inflates the coin's perceived and collectible value even more. With collectors competing in auctions and private sales to claim ownership of such a rare specimen, often driving prices into the millions, which leads us back to the rumored $39 million valuation, because in the numismatic world, legendary stories and whispers of ultra-rare finds often enhance demand far beyond what might seem rational, yet it's that very passion and obsession for coins that transforms ordinary change into extraordinary fortune. And as stories spread across coin clubs, collector forums, and auction houses, the mystique of the 1980 quarter grows, with tales of one-off errors, hidden hoards, and extraordinary provenance fueling the coin's status as one of the most talked-about modern rarities. And beyond errors, collectors also prize coins in mint state condition, those that never saw circulation, retaining their original luster and fine details. Because finding a 1980 quarter in pristine condition is like uncovering a time capsule from an era when such coins were simply tools of commerce. And when those mint state coins also carry rare errors or anomalies, their value skyrockets beyond imagination, and that's why so many believe the 1980 quarter could be among the most valuable of modern quarters, with rumors of $39 million valuations keeping it firmly in the spotlight of numismatic discussions, because it embodies the allure of hidden treasure in everyday objects. The dream that a quarter you pull from your pocket could secretly hold a life-changing fortune, and the beauty of the story lies not just in the coin itself but in what it represents: history, chance, craftsmanship, imperfection, and human fascination with collecting, because numismatics is as much about storytelling as it is about money, and every coin tells a story, but the 1980 quarter tells one that captivates millions. And as we think about the Denver Mint, the workers, the machines, and the sheer volume of coins pressed that year, it's awe-inspiring to realize that out of millions, only a handful would carry the mistakes that would transform them into legendary rarities. And for every collector, the hunt for such coins is like chasing a dream, a quest to uncover something no one else has, something that will forever tie them to history. And perhaps that's why this coin has risen to such prominence, because it's not just a quarter, it's a symbol of possibility, reminding us that even in the most ordinary things, extraordinary value can hide, waiting for the right eyes to discover it, and that sense of hidden fortune is what keeps the 1980 quarter alive in the conversations of collectors, historians, and dreamers alike. So as you think about this coin and its legendary $39 million face value in history, remember that what makes it so remarkable is the combination of rarity, error, preservation, and story, and maybe, just maybe, you could be holding on to such a treasure without even knowing it. So the next time you come across a 1980 quarter, take a closer look, because you never know if the one in your hand might just be the next multimillion-dollar legend. And with that exciting thought, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and stay tuned for more incredible stories of coins worth big money and treasures hidden in plain sight. Next, 1983 quarter dollar coin. Did you ever imagine that a simple piece of pocket change could one day be worth a jaw-dropping $21 million? The 1983 USA quarter dollar coin is one of those unbelievable treasures that looks like just another coin in your hand but is actually a gateway to fortune and mystery. A coin minted in the early 1980s at the Philadelphia Mint has become a legend in the world of numismatics, not only because of its age but because of its scarcity, its unusual circumstances, and the fact that it represents a time in U.S. history when the mint itself faced production challenges that would forever shape the value of coins from that era. Now, the real question everyone asks is why this particular quarter from 1983 could be so incredibly valuable, and the answer is both fascinating and layered when you look at the timeline of American coin production. 1983 stands out as one of the most peculiar years because the U.S. Mint decided not to produce official mint sets for collectors that year. In most years, collectors could get their hands on brilliant uncirculated coins pulled directly from the mint before they ever entered circulation, but in 1983 that option simply did not exist, meaning every single 1983 quarter that survives today was released into everyday commerce. Think about that, millions of these coins entered cash registers, vending machines, gas stations, and countless pockets and purses across the nation, and once coins enter circulation they begin to wear down quickly. Their details fade, scratches appear, and their quality diminishes within weeks, so the chance of finding a 1983 quarter in pristine high-grade condition today is almost impossible. Collectors quickly realized this gap and began scrambling to preserve the few uncirculated examples that were discovered, often through chance in original rolls or bags distributed by the Federal Reserve. But by then much of the damage had already been done. Decades later, when grading companies like PCGS and NGC began certifying coins, it became apparent that 1983 quarters in mint state condition were some of the rarest modern-era Washington quarters to exist, and that scarcity is what propelled the value to astronomical levels. Scarcity alone, however, does not explain a value of $21 million. There has to be something more, and that's where the element of errors, mistakes, and striking anomalies comes into play. The early 1980s was a turbulent time for the mint. Budget constraints, rising costs of metal, and aging machinery created the perfect storm for mistakes to happen, and when mistakes happen on coins, they can sometimes turn into treasures. Collectors seek tirelessly. Error coins from 1983 include doubled die obverse, where Washington's profile and inscriptions appear doubled, giving a ghost-like effect. Off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing or shifted dramatically. Planchet errors, where the coin is struck on the wrong metal, or incomplete blanks and die cracks, where flaws in the dies caused raised lines or odd patterns across the coin's surface. Each of these anomalies makes a coin even more rare, and when you combine scarcity with errors, you get a perfect recipe for a coin to skyrocket in value. This is why the 1983 quarter is not just another old coin but a phenomenon in numismatic history, because it represents both intentional scarcity due to no mint sets and unintentional rarity due to minting mistakes. Now imagine someone in the 1990s or 2000s going through a jar of spare change, maybe coins that sat on a dresser for decades only to stumble upon a gleaming 1983 p quarter without realizing they are holding a piece worth more than most luxury cars. Stories of such discoveries have only fueled the fire, making this coin a viral topic in the collecting world. Every time news breaks that a 1983 p quarter has sold at auction for 6 or 7 figures, the fascination spreads further, and the dream of finding one in circulation becomes more alluring. Over the years, auction houses like Heritage and Stack's Bowers have showcased extraordinary examples of the 1983 p quarter, fetching hundreds of thousands of dollars, especially in top condition. But when you hear about an example being valued at $21 million, it's because such a coin represents the absolute pinnacle of rarity and quality, a perfect storm of condition, scarcity, and collector demand. When you think about it, a coin like this is not only money, it is art, it is history. It is a time capsule from 1983, capturing the face of George Washington on the obverse and the powerful bald eagle on the reverse, a reminder of American heritage, strength, and continuity. But underneath that patriotic design lies a story of hidden scarcity that no one could have predicted at the time. As word has spread about the 1983 p quarter, social media has amplified its legend. Collectors on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook constantly share stories, videos, and posts about how this ordinary coin could make someone rich overnight. This viral spread has caused people around the world to start checking their change jars, wallets, and old coin boxes from their parents or grandparents. The frenzy keeps growing, and the 1983 p quarter has achieved something very few coins ever do. It has transcended the world of numismatics and entered mainstream culture. People who never cared about coins suddenly want to know if they have one, and this surge in awareness only pushes demand and prices even higher. Think about the psychology behind it. We all dream of finding treasure. We all love the idea that hidden wealth could be sitting right in front of us, waiting to be discovered. The 1983 p quarter embodies that dream perfectly because it is small, common looking, and easy to overlook, yet worth enough to change someone's life forever. It represents opportunity, luck, and the thrill of the hunt, and that is why it has become one of the most talked about coins of modern history. The coin's incredible valuation of $21 million also sparks debates among collectors. Some argue that no coin should ever be worth that much, while others insist that rarity and demand justify any price because value is determined by what someone is willing to pay. When wealthy collectors or museums bid against each other for a pristine example, prices can reach levels that shock the public and redefine the market altogether. When you put this into perspective, the 1983 p quarter is not just worth $21 million, it is worth whatever story it tells, whatever passion it ignites, and whatever dreams it inspires. It is a symbol of how history, economics, artistry, and luck collide in one tiny piece of metal that carries far more than its face value. So the next time you pick up a quarter from your pocket, take a close look, because you might just be holding one of the most valuable coins in American history. And even if you are not, the story of the 1983 p USA quarter dollar worth $21 million will continue to inspire treasure hunters for generations to come, proving that sometimes the most ordinary things hide the most extraordinary secrets. And if you enjoyed this journey into the story of one of the rarest and most valuable coins ever, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for more amazing stories of hidden treasures and big money mysteries that could be waiting in your own pocket change. Next, 1990 D quarter dollar coin. We dive into one of the most fascinating stories in American coin collecting history, a story that takes us back to 1990 and focuses on a coin that might look ordinary to the casual observer but has turned into a legendary treasure in the numismatic world. The 1990 D quarter dollar coin that has become worth a staggering $14 million, not simply because of its age or its metallic content, but because of the remarkable combination of errors, mistakes, and possibilities that occurred during its production at the Denver Mint, making it one of the most sought-after coins ever. And as we unfold this incredible journey, we will explore in great detail what makes such a coin reach astronomical values, why collectors obsess over minting errors, how small mistakes in the striking process can transform an everyday coin into a once-in-a-lifetime find, and why the 1990 D quarter has become a centerpiece of countless discussions, auctions, and legends among experts and enthusiasts alike. So buckle up as we take you through the hidden world of mint errors, doubled dies, off-center strikes, planchet flaws, transitional errors, die cracks, missing elements, and the historical background that turns this seemingly ordinary 25-cent piece into a multi-million-dollar phenomenon, because behind every era coin lies a fascinating story about the complexity of minting, the human element of oversight, and the randomness of mistakes that can create rarity and value beyond imagination. And when it comes to the 1990 D quarter, we have a perfect storm of factors that contribute to its legendary status, starting with the Denver Mint itself, which during this period was producing hundreds of millions of coins annually, and naturally with such massive output the probability of mistakes increased, yet not every mistake results in significant value. Only the rarest and most visually striking errors that survived quality control and entered circulation become prized treasures. So let us first think about the possibility of a double die obverse, where the design elements such as Washington's profile, the inscriptions like Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, and the date 1990 could have been struck more than once but slightly misaligned, leading to the doubling effect that collectors crave, because when these features show doubling, especially on the bold inscriptions, it creates a unique collectible that cannot be replicated. And when we talk about the 1990 D quarter valued at $14 million, rumors and confirmed examples suggest that some of these coins carry this doubled die characteristic, instantly elevating them from common circulation status to ultra rarity. But the story doesn't end there, because other error types possibly occurred on this coin, such as off-center strikes where the design is not properly aligned on the coin blank, leading to part of the design being missing or shifted dramatically, and such errors, when combined with a strong mint mark like the D from Denver, create dramatic eye appeal that collectors are willing to pay fortunes for. And then we have planchet errors where the blank metal disc used for striking was flawed, maybe it was cracked, clipped, or even the wrong size. And in some cases wrong metal planchets have been discovered where a quarter design was struck on a dime or nickel blank, leading to an entirely unique error coin. And for a 1990 D quarter, such mistakes would instantly skyrocket its desirability and hence its price. Now if we look at transitional errors, they occur when the mint shifts from one composition to another or changes designs and accidentally uses leftover planchets or dies. While the quarter's main composition did not change drastically around 1990, it is not impossible that leftover planchets or even misapplied dies created anomalies that turned into valuable rarities, further increasing the mystery and value of the coin. And let's not forget die cracks and cuds, small imperfections that develop as dies wear out, leaving raised lines, blobs, or missing sections on coins. And when such imperfections are bold and visible, they make the coin stand out. And a 1990 D quarter with a significant die crack across Washington's face or the reverse eagle design would be an amazing collectible. And as collectors examined these coins over the decades, certain varieties stood out so much that whispers of astronomical values began circulating, eventually solidifying into the legend of the 1990 D quarter valued at $14 million, a coin that embodies the perfect example of how rarity, error, and demand intersect. But beyond the errors themselves, there is also the psychology of collecting at play, because people are naturally drawn to the concept of hidden treasure, of finding something extraordinary in their pocket change. And when the story of the multimillion $1,990 D quarter spread across numismatic circles, it sparked a frenzy of searching, checking, and dreaming, with everyday people scouring through old jars of coins hoping to stumble upon one of these marvels. And this frenzy continues today as auctions and private sales reveal jaw-dropping prices that keep the legend alive. And we must also acknowledge that the condition or grade of the coin plays an enormous role in determining value. Because a coin with a rare error but heavily worn might still attract attention but will never reach the incredible levels of a pristine, uncirculated example graded by professional services at the highest levels. And when it comes to the $14 million 1990 D quarter, we are talking about coins in near perfect condition, preserved almost as if untouched by circulation, making them not just rare error coins but rare in their preservation as well, adding another layer of scarcity. And this is why collectors, investors, and museums compete fiercely whenever one of these surfaces, because the combination of an extremely rare error, pristine condition, and the mystique of a known legend makes the coin nearly priceless. But why $14 million, you might ask? And that comes down to a mix of actual auction results, private sales, rumored transactions, and the ever-growing mythology of the coin itself, because in the numismatic world sometimes perception and rarity drive value just as much as hard numbers. And the 1990 D quarter has achieved a status where even whispers of availability can trigger bidding wars, and as we reflect on this, it is important to recognize how this coin has become more than just a piece of metal. It has become a cultural artifact, a story of chance and error, of human oversight and collector passion, and it shows us how something so small can embody immense history, monetary value, and human fascination. And if you're wondering whether you might have one of these treasures hiding in your collection, the truth is it's rare but not impossible, and that is what makes the story even more thrilling. Because the dream is alive that someone out there could still find a 1990 D quarter with a rare error and perfect preservation and turn it into millions. And that dream is what keeps collectors searching, learning, and sharing stories like these. So the next time you hold a coin in your hand, remember that within its small surface could lie errors invisible to most but worth fortunes to those who know. And this is why we celebrate coins like the 1990 D quarter, a coin that transformed from everyday currency to a multi-million-dollar legend because of the fascinating interplay of minting errors, collector passion, and the relentless pursuit of rarity. And as we close this incredible journey into the history of the 1990 D quarter-dollar coin and its mind-boggling $14 million value, I want to thank you for joining me, and if you enjoyed this deep dive into the hidden treasures of American coins, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for more amazing stories of coins worth big money and the history that makes them truly unforgettable. Next, 1992 P quarter dollar coin. Today we are going to uncover the unbelievable story behind the 1992 P Washington quarter dollar coin that has stunned collectors, historians, and investors alike because of its astronomical value of $9 million, a price tag that seems almost unreal for a coin that many people once carried around in their pockets as just ordinary change. But the reality is that some rare coins achieve legendary status because of the mistakes, errors, and production anomalies that occurred at the U.S. Mint during their creation, and the 1992 P quarter is one of those remarkable examples. So sit back and enjoy as we peel back the layers of history, minting technology, human error, and the thrill of coin collecting to explain how a seemingly ordinary quarter dollar minted in Philadelphia in 1992 could become worth a staggering fortune, and why people across the world are fascinated by such stories of numismatic luck. Now, the first thing to understand is that the 1992 P quarter was part of the regular series of Washington quarters produced that year, featuring the familiar portrait of George Washington on the obverse designed by John Flanagan and the heraldic eagle on the reverse. And by itself a standard 1992 P quarter holds no unusual monetary value. But in the world of coin collecting, what makes the difference is not the ordinary pieces but the small fraction of coins that slip through the minting process with unique traits, mechanical errors, or unintentional experimental designs. And in 1992 there were indeed a number of unusual mistakes that created a class of quarters which collectors have since gone crazy over, pushing their value into the millions. So let's look closely at the possibilities. First and foremost, one of the most famous errors associated with the early 1990s quarters is the wrong planchet error, where the blank metal disc used for striking the coin is not the correct size, composition, or weight, and in some cases a quarter design was mistakenly struck on a nickel planchet, or even a foreign coin planchet, producing a unique rarity that would stand out immediately to an experienced numismatist. Such an error makes the coin dramatically different in weight and metallic makeup, leading to a tremendous boost in value. And considering that mint workers handle millions of blanks each day, it is not surprising that such mix-ups sometimes occur. But when it happens and when a specimen survives circulation, it transforms an ordinary coin into a multi-million-dollar prize. Another fascinating error possibility for the 1992 P quarter lies in the area of double die strikes, where the die that imprints the design on the blank shifts slightly or is misaligned during production, resulting in a coin that shows doubling on the date, lettering, or even Washington's profile. And collectors treasure such double die coins because they are visually striking and can be authenticated easily under magnification. And If one of these doubling errors occurred in 1992 with strong visible detail, it would certainly explain why a coin could be valued at $9 million today, as the rarity, visibility, and demand would skyrocket. And then we must consider off-center strikes where the coin is not properly seated in the coining press, leading to a design that is partially missing or shifted to one side. And while minor off-center strikes are relatively common, an extreme off-center coin that still shows a full date and mint mark can become highly valuable, and for the 1992 P-quarter an error of this magnitude would create a unique and extremely rare collectible. Another intriguing possibility is a transitional error, which happens when a coin is struck with the wrong design or metal intended for a different year's issue. And in 1992 the U.S. Mint was already preparing for major design and production changes leading into the State Quarters program that launched in 1999, so it is not unthinkable that transitional planchets or experimental dies might have been accidentally used, leading to a one-of-a-kind coin that collectors would fight over. And then there are mint mark errors where the P of Philadelphia might appear misplaced, doubled, or even missing entirely, creating another avenue for rarity, because a coin missing its mint mark is almost always a valuable anomaly, especially from a year like 1992 where collectors were not expecting dramatic changes. Add to this the possibility of die cracks, cuds, and other striking errors that leave raised lines, blobs of extra metal, or broken sections of the design, and you can see why error coins hold such fascination. Each one is unique, each tells a story of a mechanical mishap or a rushed production run, and each carries with it the allure of rarity. Now, why does this particular coin command such a high price of $9 million? The answer lies in the intersection of rarity, condition, and demand. If a 1992 P-quarter with one of these extraordinary errors survived in pristine condition, perhaps untouched in a collector's stash since the day it was struck, its grade might be near perfect, say MS-68 or higher on the Sheldon scale, and that combined with the dramatic nature of the error could make it a trophy piece for wealthy collectors who are willing to pay astronomical sums just to own something no one else can claim. Auctions for such coins often see bidding wars between top collectors, investment firms, and even museums, and the story of its creation, survival, and discovery only adds to the drama. Think about the possibility that someone once spent this very quarter on a cup of coffee or tucked it away in a jar of change without ever knowing that it held life-changing value. Such stories make coin collecting one of the most thrilling hobbies in the world. And the 1992 P-quarter valued at $9 million represents the pinnacle of that thrill, but it also reflects on the culture of error coin collecting more broadly, because every mint error tells a story about the human element behind coin production, the imperfections in machinery, and the sheer unpredictability of mass manufacturing, and that unpredictability is what drives collectors to carefully inspect their change, buy rolls of coins from banks, and scour flea markets and estate sales in search of hidden treasures. The allure is not just about the financial value but also the romance of discovery, the chance that you might find a unique piece of history hiding in plain sight. The 1992 P-quarter has become a symbol of that dream, a reminder that extraordinary value can sometimes be hidden in the ordinary. And as we think about it further, it is worth exploring how the minting process itself creates these conditions. The U.S. Mint operates massive presses that strike coins at lightning speed, each die striking thousands upon thousands of blanks, and as dies wear out they develop cracks, chips, and distortions, which then transfer onto the coins, creating varieties that collectors call die cracks, die breaks, or cuds, and while most are minor, some are dramatic enough to catch the eye and generate value. Another factor is the human element of preparation, where dies are engraved, polished, and adjusted, and sometimes doubling occurs during the hubbing process, leading to the famous double die coins that have become legendary in numismatics, such as the 1955 double die cent or the 1972 double die cent, and if a similar double die occurred for the 1992 P-quarter it would explain why collectors prize it so highly. Then consider the planchet preparation process, where metal strips are rolled, blanks are punched, and the blanks are then cleaned and prepared for striking. Any deviation in this process, be it a wrong alloy, a thickness error, or a mispunched blank, can lead to rare mistakes, and such mistakes, once struck with a design, are unique and nearly impossible to replicate, making them treasures for collectors. And as we reflect on the historical context, 1992 was a year of transition for American coinage, with the mint beginning to experiment with different production methods in preparation for future programs. And while the Washington quarter design remained unchanged, it was also one of the last years before the modern era of state and national park quarters, which makes coins from this period especially interesting to collectors. So the $9,001,992 P quarter is not just a rare era coin, it is also a piece of numismatic history capturing a moment in time. The fascination with such coins also speaks to the psychology of collecting, because rarity creates desire, and desire creates value. When only one or two examples of a certain era exist in the world, the competition to own it can drive prices into the stratosphere. And when the story behind the coin is dramatic enough, such as a mint mistake that should never have happened, that story adds intangible value beyond the metal itself. And this is why wealthy collectors, sometimes even celebrities or hedge fund managers, will bid millions for a coin that once had a face value of just 25 cents. They are not buying the metal, they are buying history, uniqueness, and prestige. And the 1992 P quarter valued at $9 million epitomizes this phenomenon. But beyond the high-end market, these stories inspire ordinary people to take a closer look at their change, to wonder if perhaps they too might stumble upon a hidden treasure. And this democratization of collecting is part of what keeps the hobby vibrant and alive, because the thrill of discovery is accessible to anyone who handles coins. Next, 1988 P quarter dollar coin. We uncover the hidden treasures that might just be sitting in your pocket change, and today we are going to unravel the incredible story of the 1988 P quarter dollar coin that has stunned collectors, historians, and treasure seekers alike because of its astonishing valuation of $6 million due to the unique errors, mistakes, and possibilities that make this coin one of the most remarkable finds in modern numismatic history. And as we begin this journey together, imagine holding a small, ordinary-looking quarter in your hand without ever realizing that it carries within it not only a monetary value but a legacy of historical mishaps, minting anomalies, and extraordinary rarity that elevates it far above its intended worth. And that is exactly what happened with this 1988 P quarter dollar coin struck at the Philadelphia Mint during a time when the U.S. Mint was under pressure to produce billions of coins efficiently, which sometimes led to mistakes slipping through the rigorous quality control systems in place. And while most of those coins vanished into circulation unnoticed, a tiny handful contained flaws that would later transform them into legendary treasures with breathtaking value. And among them stands the 1988 P quarter, which in certain rare instances displays striking errors such as double die obverse, where the lettering and images appear slightly doubled due to misalignment during the minting process, creating a ghostly shadow effect visible especially in the words Liberty, or I in God We Trust. And for collectors, this doubling is like a hidden signature of rarity that transforms the coin into something extraordinary. But the story doesn't stop there, because some specimens also show off center strikes where the coin's design shifts away from the center, creating crescent-like blank areas that collectors crave due to their rarity. And others have been discovered with clipped planchets where small curved pieces are missing from the coin's rim because of misfeeding errors at the mint. And even more astonishing are broad strike errors where the collar that normally contains the metal failed, causing the coin to spread wider and flatter than intended, giving it a unique shape that screams rarity. And let us not forget the transitional errors where a coin was mistakenly struck on a planchet intended for another denomination or composition, creating mismatched metal content that skyrockets in value because it combines scarcity with mystery. And some reports suggest that a few 1988 P quarters may have been struck on copper nickel-clad planchets intended for dimes, resulting in underweight pieces that baffle collectors and become the crown jewels of numismatic treasure hunts. And the fascination with these errors is amplified by the fact that every mistake carries its own story. Every misplaced strike or off-center detail is a fingerprint of history that can never be replicated. And when collectors search through their old jars, coin rolls, and boxes of pocket change, they dream of stumbling upon one of these rare gems that transforms an ordinary day into a moment of life-changing discovery. and the $6 million valuation comes not just from one isolated error but from the combination of possibilities, the incredible rarity of preserved mint-state examples with multiple anomalies, the fervent demand from high-end collectors willing to pay any price to secure a piece of history, and the sheer fascination that comes from knowing such a coin exists, because unlike mass-produced coins that vanish into obscurity, this particular 1988 P-quarter has ascended into the realm of legend, becoming a conversation starter, an investment, a symbol of how tiny mistakes can create monumental value. And beyond the monetary aspect lies the human curiosity about how such coins slip past the eagle eyes of mint inspectors, how they traveled unnoticed in circulation, perhaps passed through vending machines, laundromats, or even handed over as change at a corner store before being plucked out by someone who recognized its uniqueness. And when stories of these rare coins make headlines, they ignite waves of excitement as people across the world dig into their change jars hoping to strike gold. And the truth is that while the $6 million valuation seems almost mythical, it reflects the power of rarity, demand, and collector psychology, where the convergence of history and mistake elevates an object far beyond its humble origins. And in studying the 1988 P-quarter, we also gain insight into the fragile perfection of minting processes, where even with advanced machinery errors can and do happen, sometimes leading to flukes that rewrite numismatic history. And let's not forget that Philadelphia, being one of the busiest mints in America, produced hundreds of millions of quarters that year, making it all the more shocking that something so rare and extraordinary slipped through, proving that even among oceans of uniformity a single drop of difference can become priceless. And as we explore deeper into this coin's legend, we find collectors analyzing every millimeter of its surface with magnification tools, scouring the details for doubled dies, misaligned dies, repunched mint marks, die cracks, cuds, and lamination errors, all of which enhance its mystique and value. And the fascinating part is that no two errors are exactly alike, meaning every rare 1988 P-quarter is truly one of a kind. And in the world of collectibles, uniqueness drives passion, passion drives bidding wars, and bidding wars drive astronomical prices that seem almost impossible yet are very real in auction houses where wealthy collectors battle to secure bragging rights over owning a slice of history. And perhaps the most alluring aspect of the $6,001,988 P-quarter is the tantalizing thought that there may be more out there undiscovered, waiting in drawers, piggy banks, and coin rolls across America, silent witnesses to history that could one day turn an unsuspecting finder into an instant millionaire. And this endless possibility is what keeps the excitement alive, keeps the hunt going, keeps coin enthusiasts searching relentlessly. Because in every pocket full of change there lies the slim but thrilling chance of uncovering such a treasure. And that is why the story of the 1988 P-quarter is not just about metal, mint marks, or mistakes, but about the adventure of discovery, the romance of rarity, and the hope of possibility that binds the collector community together. So as you watch this and think about the coins in your possession, remember that even the smallest, most overlooked piece of change can hold secrets beyond imagination. And maybe, just maybe, you too could stumble upon a piece of history worth millions. And if you enjoyed this incredible journey through the mystery and value of the 1988 P-quarter coin, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and join us for more amazing stories about rare coins, hidden treasures, and the unbelievable secrets behind the money in your pocket. Last, the 1986 P-quarter coin, a coin that in ordinary circumstances would only be worth 25 cents, but because of its rare errors, striking mistakes, and unique minting anomalies, has been rumored to fetch a staggering $26 million at auction. And as unbelievable as that sounds, the world of numismatics is filled with similar stories where simple coins that once clinked around unnoticed in pockets and purses have skyrocketed in value due to a variety of unique and rare factors. So let us welcome you into this journey where we'll not only explore why the 1986 P-quarter has gained such legendary status, but also break down the possibilities, the kinds of minting errors that exist, and the historical circumstances that make such coins so desirable to collectors. Because when we look at the 1986 P-quarter, we are not just looking at a piece of metal, but rather at a combination of human craftsmanship, machine imperfection, and collector obsession all converging into one artifact that tells a story worth millions. Now, to understand why the 1986 P quarter can command such a mind-bending price tag, we have to begin with the fact that coin errors are like accidental masterpieces. They happen rarely and often unpredictably, and the Philadelphia Mint where this coin was struck was no stranger to occasional mistakes during mass production. One type of error that could explain the extreme value of this coin is the double die strike, where the design on either the obverse or reverse appears double due to the coin being struck twice slightly off from its original position, such doubling especially on key elements like the date 1986, the letters in Liberty, or the words, "In God We Trust," can drastically raise the desirability and value of a coin. Another highly sought-after error is the off-center strike, where the die hits the coin blank off its intended alignment, leaving part of the design missing or pushed to one side, sometimes creating a crescent-shaped blank space on the quarter. And when this type of error is dramatic while still showing the date and mint mark, it can elevate the coin into a numismatic marvel. Now, in the case of the 1986 P quarter, there are also rumors of rare planchet errors where the coin was struck on the wrong type of metal blank. Imagine a quarter mistakenly struck on a nickel or dime planchet. This not only affects the weight and size but also results in mismatched designs that collectors crave because such errors escape the mint in only the rarest of circumstances. Furthermore, clipped planchets where a piece of the metal blank is missing before striking can create quarters that look as though a bite has been taken out of them, and when combined with other errors, these can reach astronomical values. Now, another intriguing aspect is the possibility of transitional errors. And while the year 1986 was not itself a transitional period for quarter metals, oddities and planchets being left over from other years or tests being conducted at the mint could create coins with unexpected metallic compositions. Collectors salivate over the mere thought of these kinds of errors. The fact that one coin supposedly achieved a $26 million valuation suggests a perfect storm of multiple rare errors combined with pristine condition. Often referred to as mint state, or even gem mint state grades where the coin has virtually no wear and retains its original luster, it's also important to consider strike quality because a sharp, crisp strike on an error coin only amplifies its appeal. Now, beyond the mechanical errors, there are other possibilities that heighten the mystique of the 1986 P quarter. Sometimes unique die varieties emerge due to slight changes or deterioration in the dies used to strike coins. Die cracks, cuds, or repunched mint marks can all add layers of rarity. If a 1986 P quarter exhibits an especially prominent die crack across Washington's portrait, or an unusual break in the lettering, it could instantly become a one-of-a-kind piece. Collectors thrive on uniqueness, and competition among them often drives prices into the millions, especially when a coin is confirmed as the only known example of its kind. The legend of the $26 million quarter may also be fueled by the aura of auctions where wealthy collectors bid ferociously to own a slice of numismatic history. Now, stepping back into the cultural and historical context of the 1980s, we can appreciate why coins from that era hold an extra level of charm. The Philadelphia Mint in 1986 was producing coins in enormous numbers, and while most of them were standard, errors from such mass production runs are all the more valuable because they stand out against a backdrop of hundreds of millions of regular quarters. Imagine searching through rolls of quarters today and suddenly spotting one with doubling on Washington's profile or a misaligned strike that leaves part of the eagle's wings missing. Your heart would skip a beat because you might have stumbled across a hidden fortune. Collectors and treasure hunters alike know that possibility is what keeps the hunt alive. Now, let's paint a picture of what might make the exact 1986 P quarter in question worth $26 million. Suppose it was struck on a copper nickel-clad planchet that somehow had a major off-metal error. For example, being struck on a golden-colored foreign coin blank that slipped into the minting process. Imagine further that the coin displayed a bold double die obverse, making Washington's face and the inscriptions ghostly doubled, and then add to that a perfectly centered dramatic off-center reverse strike, topped off with a high mint state grade like MS-68, or even higher. Suddenly this is no ordinary coin but rather a once-in-a-lifetime miracle of minting, the perfect cocktail of rarity, error, and preservation that could inspire collectors to empty their bank accounts just to secure it. The story of this coin also invites us to think about how value is Determined, because in numismatics it's not just about age or metal content but about uniqueness, history, and demand. A regular 1986 quarter is still worth only face value in circulation, but when you add the element of extreme rarity, the rules of value are rewritten. Auction houses have seen quarters, dimes, and pennies reach millions simply because they were the only known example of a certain era or because they carried a story that captured imaginations, and this 1986 p quarter fits squarely into that tradition. Another factor to consider is provenance, the history of ownership of such a coin. Sometimes the story of who found it and how it traveled adds mystique that boosts its appeal. Was it discovered by a casual collector sifting through change or by a seasoned numismatist analyzing mint sets under magnification? Either way, its journey contributes to the legend. The beauty of this subject is that it inspires us all to take a second look at the coins we handle daily. Because one small detail out of place could mean the difference between 25 cents and millions of dollars. Think of errors like broad strikes where the coin is struck without the collar keeping it in shape, leading to a stretched and distorted rim, or struck through errors where a piece of debris or fabric between the die and planchet leaves an impression. These anomalies, when dramatic and well preserved, can elevate a coin's worth beyond imagination. The 1986 p quarter that achieved a valuation of $26 million likely had a combination of these rare features. But beyond the technicalities lies the story of passion, because coin collecting is about more than money. It's about history, discovery, and the thrill of owning something utterly unique. When collectors gather at auctions, the room buzzes with anticipation because each rare coin that comes up is like a piece of art, irreproducible and forever tied to its moment of creation. The bidding wars are not just about wealth but about pride, prestige, and the drive to hold something no one else can. And so the 1986 p quarter dollar has carved its name into the Hall of Legends, reminding us all that treasure still exists in the most ordinary places, that mistakes are not always flaws but sometimes miracles, and that the value of a coin is as much about the story it tells as the metal it holds. So as we close this journey into the tale of the 1986 p quarter worth $26 million, let me encourage you to never overlook the coins you come across. Check your pocket change, study the dates, examine the mint marks, because one day you too might stumble across a fortune hiding in plain sight. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of rare coin history, and if you enjoyed this story and want to hear more about the incredible world of numismatics where ordinary change transforms into legendary treasures, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for more unbelievable stories of coins that turned into fortunes.